Hello everyone and welcome to Bxb'S Bits and Bobs episode 53, and once again the first thing you're going to notice is that Joel is not with us again this week. I don't even know where he is. I think he may have gone to the moon, or it could have been a hell dimension. I've really lost track of where Joel is. Hopefully he'll return at some point, but don't be too sad because with us we have the one and only Richard Worrell.
Hello. I think there are more than one of me.
But not one of you. Don't say there's more than one of you. That's like, well, you have like a subject of a weird experiment. How could there be more than one of you? That would be super, super weird.
I mean the name, but yeah, well, you never know, do you? Who knows?
I guess if we're talking about the theory of multiple dimensions, there will be more than one of you across the infinite expanses of different realities, as per Sliders or something to that effect.
Yeah, perhaps, or Infinity War, possibly. There's a segue into probably what we're going to talk about today.
We'll talk about that in a minute, but I'll introduce myself as well. I'm your host, as always, Ben Hall. Not a lot going on in my life other than work and trying to play video games for review and stuff. So I'm going to throw straight to you, Rich. You've actually had chance to watch some stuff and to do some stuff outside of the daily grind, as it were. So what have you been up to?
Stuff. Yeah, I've watched a few things. I watched Ghost Stories, which is a British horror film.
I was really interested in that off the trailer. It looks really good.
It does look good, doesn't it? So Martin Freeman's in it, like Tim off The Office, that one.
Wow, yeah, that's like a deep reference to Martin Freeman, not Sherlock Holmes, like Sherlock, as you know, he was Watson and Sherlock, wasn't he? Or The Hobbit. You went all the way back to The Office, which I think was his first ever thing.
I think he was that before Martin Freeman. So
yes,
you know, Tim from The Office. Who else is in it? The guy out of Harry Enfield and Friends. What's his name? Paul Whitehouse. He's in it.
Yep.
And the fella out of, I don't know his name. There's a fella out of one of the Black Mirror episodes who is one of the best things in it. He's dead good. I was disappointed by this. So it's three stories followed by, following each of those three people. And there's one main character that sort of ties it all together, investigating the ghost stories behind all these three characters. And it comes together in a twist at the end, which is thoroughly disappointing. So I'm not going to go into the twist. But yeah, it's just I went into it with high hopes because I think it had got some quite good reviews. It's got some good people in it.
Very creepy trailer. Like really,
yeah, it has got some really good creepy moments. It's got a few good bits, but it doesn't quite hinge together. So yeah, I think it's in the title. Really, it is a few stories, but doesn't really pay off as a cohesive whole.
It's connected around a skeptic investigating the ghost reports, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. I don't want to say too much more than that, but. Yeah, so watch it. There's some good performances in it, some good scares, but it falls apart at the end.
So this is like wait for a free streamable Netflix or something.
Yeah, probably. It's one of those that probably won't take too long to appear on Netflix. So wait for that.
I was looking for a rental, couldn't find one. So did you purchase it at full price?
I did. Well, Sarah did actually. Yeah. Sarah was really keen to watch it, so she bought it.
How did she? Did she like it more than you, or?
I think so. Yeah, I think she's got quite a. Will she watch this? Will she watch this? I think she's got quite a low quality threshold when it comes
to. I knew where that was going, and it's like at times in certain genres, I would say the same about my own wife. The problem is, I know she's going to watch this, so I won't go into any more detail. But yes. I mean, it's one of those things, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
But let's talk about something I can talk about. I mean, this wasn't the first time you saw Infinity War Part 1, was it?
No, I saw it in the cinema.
So this is the second ever UHD digital release on Xbox.
Yeah, that's it. So first one was Black Panther, second one Infinity War. So it seems to be limited to Marvel stuff at the moment. I do hope they bring more out, but yeah, I'm trying to. I've got 100% record so far. I've bought every UHD movie that there is, all 2 of them. So yeah, that's nice. It's nice that they are pushing them out, however slowly. But yeah, good film, isn't it? Infinity War. All the superheroes doing hero stuff.
I'm waiting. You know, I'm patiently waiting for the 4th of September, which is the physical disc release.
Yeah.
For my 4K disc on Blu-ray, because I own all the Marvel films physically, not digitally, the opposite. And yeah, I can't stop doing that now. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it again. Yeah, can't wait. My mind is still blown a little bit about how gutsy it was to do what they did and put out a film like that with an ending like that as a summer blockbuster, and for it to be as successful as it was. There's no other film like it, a film which is the culmination of 10 years of storyline. You know, it's crazy. That's just mad that's worked, and it works as well as it does.
The most audacious thing about it for me is just how long it's going to take to pay off, because you've got similar things like that in, you know, I suppose there's some famous trilogies that have done something similar, haven't they? Where you've got 2 films in production at the same time. You know, one and the second one ends on some mad cliffhanger, but you know, at Christmas you're going to see it. You're going to see the end of that. It's going to be resolved. How long have we got to wait for Infinity War to get resolved?
Oh, what do you mean? No, it's not that long. It's not that long. A year. I mean, well,
it's quite a long time, isn't it?
But it's not when you're talking about, the ones that come to mind would be something like Empire Strikes Back. That was 3 years before we had Return of the Jedi.
Oh,
you know, so it was like, you know, I can't. I'm trying to think. It's not usually a short gap. I mean, a year is actually quite. What it is that you don't get a lot of films like that have that cliffhanger second part or whatever that leaves you waiting for any length of time. It's audacious, but I think that just, you know, the fact that they can do it is because of 10 years of preceding films that this is built. You know, it's mind blowing to me. Did you see Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah. Did we talk about that?
We did talk about it, and we talked about how the ending ties into.
So after you watched Infinity War again, how did that make you feel retroactively about Ant-Man? Because the only thing, I mean, yeah, it just felt so underwhelming to me. But like, it's like, why did they feel the need to make that film and put that one out where they did? Do you know what I mean? It just felt like it has no bearing on anything. Though there are rumors that perhaps it will do so in some quite major ways, depending on because of how it ended. The other thing, of course, is Captain Marvel. I'm very much looking forward to Captain Marvel. At the start of next year, because she's going to be a big player in Infinity War Part 2, whatever that might be called in the end.
I think I'd probably like Ant-Man more than you do, but it's definitely released at the right time for me. You can't really up the bar from Infinity War very much, so the best thing to do is lower it right down. Just take the steam off a little, have something a bit more relatable, down to earth.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
And then ramp it up.
That makes sense. And because Captain Marvel is going to be kind of like he's definitely going to lead into Part 2. From what I've heard, it's going to have some big story connections to what goes on. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Really, really good. I've never watched. Here we go. A geek confession. Ready for this? I've watched half a season of Breaking Bad and never watched any Better Call Saul.
What the fuck? What is going on there?
I didn't like Breaking Bad. Everybody, I mean, it's the typical fucking thing, though, isn't it? Oh, you've got to get to season 2, and then it will get really good, or just stick with it, and you'll fall in love with it. I did half a season of Breaking Bad. It's just another kind of sort of slightly off the wall crime thing. Like I've seen it all before, and it just didn't really do anything for me. But like, yeah, all right.
It is dead good, but I watched it before people were doing that thing, so I guess I didn't have that annoyance.
You just enjoyed it from the beginning. That's fair enough, I suppose.
Yeah. It's an amazing show, and I think it stands out amongst most shows for how much it transforms from beginning to end. It's unrecognizable. Its characters are unrecognizable. That's the real hook for it. It's just seeing how far they spiral from where they start. It's an incredible show.
Okay. And how's season 4 of Better Call Saul? How's that?
It's interesting because it's starting to overlap more and more with the start and sort of first and second act of Breaking Bad, so there's overlaps there with the characters that are appearing and seeing their origins in the Better Call Saul story.
Right.
It's I don't know how valuable that would be to people coming to this series fresh. It still feels like a sort of addendum to Breaking Bad. You need to have seen that first for me. And that's where a lot of the value is, but I don't know, who knows? If I hadn't seen them, maybe it would still be good. It's still got great characters, some great lines.
They've brought in not Malcolm in the Middle's dad, the other main character from Breaking Bad, isn't it now in Saul? Is that right?
No.
Oh, I thought, is it Jesse?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen him in it yet. I'm an episode behind though, so I think
I'm sure I saw a trailer, and I'm sure I saw him in it. I could be completely imagining that. But
that would make sense that he is, but I've not seen him so far. I'm 3 episodes in. I think there's 4 out. So
right, okay. No, I just saw a trailer before the season even came out, and I think the big deal was, like you were saying, let's make more of these obvious connections. And I think it's amusing because that actor in particular was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go off now after Breaking Bad's finished and be in Hollywood, and I'm gonna be," and then it didn't work. And he made the Need for Speed movie.
Just gonna say,
it was like, good job.
I'm gonna live my dreams. I'm gonna make Need for Speed,
and come back to this TV show because it all didn't work. Unlucky. But yeah, I was like, oh, they've got him.
Don't forget the Xbox One advert that pissed off everybody.
Yeah, I do vaguely remember that. Yeah.
The one that turned everyone's Xbox off.
Oh, that was it, wasn't it? Yeah, hilarious. That's funny. That was. I mean, I loved all those days when we still used our Kinect sensors. You don't have yours plugged in anymore, do you?
It's plugged in.
It is.
I don't know why. Shit. I don't know why. I need to unplug it. I was only thinking the other day, actually, I probably should take that out because I just tried on the off chance because I haven't used it for so long. I thought, right. I use Cortana, see if the volume still works. Of course, it fucking doesn't. Doesn't do a thing anymore. They've totally broken that thing.
They've just patched it out, basically.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
Hilarious.
I think it's still supposed to work, but it really doesn't. It's awful. So I'll probably get rid of that now. Anyway,
so the next thing you've got on your list, I will answer the question for you, Richard.
Yeah.
And then we'll see if the audience can guess the question. And the answer is no. That's probably never been okay. And and the question was, is 40 years too old for a reverse snapback? I guess the answer would actually be yes, it is too old, and no, you shouldn't do that. So
if it was never okay, then it can't be too old.
I guess there's a logic to that. Did you try this out? Were you in the mirror the other day, like, do you think I could Fred Durst this? Was that the thought process that went through your mind?
I impulse bought a cap because I was looking on.
Did you get lost or something? Like, what happened? I've stumbled into a Burton's. Okay. I don't know what to do.
Burton's. There's a few steps to this. Regular listeners, watchers will know I'm not a fan of Brexit. There is another People's Vote March in October, and I've got a People's Vote T-shirt. I've got an EU flag. I've got some badges. I thought, right, next time, how can I increase my level of EU attire? And I saw an EU cap. I thought, oh, I'll have that.
Like blue with the gold stars. What was it? Blue gold stars.
It's got gold stars on the brim, nice. And it's got a dove of peace on the front.
Oh,
at the front.
Yeah, that's a bit. If it was just the blue with the gold, I'd be kind of down. But like the dove of peace is a bit much. Like, when did the EU ever have the powers to actually really push peace anywhere? Like, let's be honest. I mean, it's like the formation, I guess, brought peace, but since then, it's not like they ever had an effective army because they aren't allowed one. So, I mean, how are they ever force projecting peace? Which I know sounds a bit like an oxymoron, but yeah.
The lesson here, Ben, is you don't need a military to enforce peace.
I think you do.
There hasn't been conflict in Europe since the EU was formed.
No, 100% in Europe, but there are other places that could do with sorting out.
So
it's sort of,
absolutely, yeah, yeah.
there's a lot of not peace happening in the world.
No, that's
you know,
true.
yes, Europe not been at war, great, plus, definitely good. Don't get me wrong. However, yeah, we could do all kinds of things about lots of other areas if we had an armed forces for Europe.
Absolutely, but you know the history of European conflicts. It's not good.
It's not great.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back to the day when we had the glorious British Empire, I mean, you know, then it was much better. I mean, like we had this like ongoing thing with France. It was kind of like an off again, on again little war situation, which was always pleasant. You know, that was always kept things spicy, didn't it? You know, there's some fun history there.
Little frisson of death. Yeah,
a little bit of frisson while we were projecting our influence around the globe in every direction. You know, so you know, history's fascinating for war. Mostly war, I guess, if you look at history. That's kind of the main thing that happened. But yeah, so I like the idea. I would only allow you, I think, Richard, and it's up to me, obviously, to wear a snapback cap backwards if you committed to the 3/4 length jean shorts and a white t-shirt. And then I'd be okay with it. I'm just saying. Well, maybe throw in some dog tags as well. If you're gonna go for tags, if you're gonna go for it, mate, go for it.
Okay, dog tags I haven't got, but the white t-shirt, that was part of the plan.
Nice.
3/4, that was part of the plan. So
it was for real. You were really gonna do it.
Already there.
Fucking, I need pictures of this. this needs to be on our website. 100%. I need to see this if this happens. That is, man, I love it that you were really going to go Fred Durst in it. It needs to be a red cap if you Fred Durst it though, but then it's too much like
I can't wear a red cap in this decade. That's been ruined for a while.
Yeah, it's make America great.
New swastika almost, isn't it? Red cap.
Yeah, a little bit like I think we should try and take back the red cap. Damn you, Trump. What you've done to the good old fashioned red cap, ruined. I like this. So beyond this, are there any other indicators of a midlife crisis? At 40?
Cars.
Like that's a bit early.
Cars. I've never had a car in my life.
You've just learned to drive, so
I learned to drive this year. I passed my test earlier in the year, and I'm now looking to buy a car. Oh man, I'm really looking at the wrong things.
Yeah. What are we talking about here?
Cars,
two-seater convertible, something like that. Yeah,
nothing that bad. I started sensible, right? I thought, what small cars review well? What's got good mileage? And started looking at Seats. Seat Ibizas are quite good on mileage, and they review well. And then started looking at different trims, and there's like Formula racing trims and cars with like sport in the title. I'm thinking, sport! It's got big rims, and I like the chrome. It's getting quite bad.
So the more you talk about,
I haven't bought one yet, but I'm worried about what I'm going to do.
Do you realize the more you were talking about that, the more you sounded like Alan Partridge?
Yes.
So it was kind of like, you don't want to go down that. I can just see you sitting behind this little Seat Ibiza with your leather racing gloves on. Gripping the wheel at the lights.
Yeah. Or reverse snapback.
Revving that 1.6. Really going for it, or you go down the wankaroo, full Alan Partridge, and you get something like an Audi, like one of those sportier Audis, which what we always used to call, where I grew up, hairdresser cars, because it was like what all the hairdressers would drive. Sorry to any hairdressers listening. I'm sure you're lovely people and you don't all drive shitty Audis, but sure, when I was growing up, that was the thing.
I don't think I've ever seen a hairdresser drive.
The other thing, if you're in doubt, when you want to spot a hairdresser, look for the baldest bloke driving, because I've only ever known bald male hairdressers as well. How weird is that? There's an irony to that, I feel.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to test this theory. I'm going to get an Audi, drive through your town, and see if you can bought an extra hairdresser.
The town where I grew up, rather than where I live now. Okay. So it's actually close to where you live, so where I grew up, down on the south coast. So that would actually be easier for you. But no, don't. Yeah, it's difficult. I can imagine trying to buy a car at 40. I mean, like I love cars, right? We'll talk about this soon. We'll get into my love of motor racing and F1 and all that stuff. However, when it comes to consumer cars, like our level, I just see them as a utility, I guess. But I don't drive. Maybe if I started to drive, would I become that guy? You know, would I become the guy looking at the sporty options? I saw proprietor of the site, Ashley, bought a new car recently, fully electric. And I have to say, that was pretty cool. I can't remember what brand it was. Yeah, you should ask him about it, man. He got a brand new car, and it was a full electric thing. It's just battery powered. Says it's super quick, looked really nice, but didn't look like a douchey thing. And also great for the environment. And you don't pay road tax, do you? If you're fully electric. So super.
There aren't many fully electric cars. He ain't got a Tesla, has he?
I don't think it's a Tesla, no. But it was like he was talking about how there's like these wait lists that are like 4 or 5 years long for them. These electric cars. He was able to jump the queue because he got an X test one or something. So he was able to just get in there and get a good deal. It seemed really cool. Talk to him about it, mate. Honestly, I mean, I think now if I was buying a car, I'd want to buy electric because it's like that's the fucking future, isn't it? I mean, it's like why let's help the environment where we can. Even though, of course, the electricity that goes in the car is from a power station. So it's not necessarily completely environmentally better, but it's still better. Yeah. But yeah, talk to him about it.
That's like vegetarian chicken because you didn't kill the chicken yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, kinda. It's less polluting, isn't it? Because the cars themselves put out toxic sort of output that the power station would be doing anyway. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like instead of additive, you're just using that baseline. It's complex, the reality of it. The things seem to be moving in the right direction though. I've been reading a lot more renewable energy sources are becoming more and more common and stuff in the news recently. So
household solar panels and household batteries, all that stuff. That would be cool when that's common.
So yes, keep us up to date with Euro Fred Durst and how how the car shopping goes, because you will be judged for both. I tell you now.
Liberal biscuit, it will be.
Nice. I like that. Liberal biscuit. Now that's it. That we need to start a rap career. You need to do like political, like left wing, like MCing. Here he comes, liberal biscuit. If you ever do, I know you produce music. You've done that in the past. If you do any more, that's the new name you need to go by. Liberal biscuit. Yeah, fucking right. That's brilliant. I love that. Liberal biscuit. Yeah, I'll be your hype man. I'll come out first. yo, liberal biscuit in the house. What up? LB.
It's almost too good not to do that. Oh man. Okay. New project.
Just 2 middle-aged white guys. Well, you know how they always do the counter marches. We actually had a right-wing march in Cambridge recently, and they had like 10 people show up, right? And then all the left-wingers who came out to counter march, there was like 250 of them. And they had like speakers and they had music and it was like this lovely like picnic atmosphere, and the right-wing arseholes have just got these sad flyers and there's 10 of them and there's the police outnumber them, and it's just like, you guys should go home. Why are you even trying in Cambridge? But no, it's like you could come out and you could do like the music for like the left-wing, and you could come out and be like, liberal biscuit, cutting some tracks for the anti-Brexit crowd. What's up? Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. I feel there's a career here. There's a change. You take a positive change. And look, I'm also spreading the message, man. Spreading the positive vibes and message to the world. How can we go wrong?
Absolutely.
How can we go wrong? Should we talk about some video games?
Yeah, it's about time. I think
now that we've done films and politics like usual, let's get on to video games. So, first of all, from a couple of weeks back, this was only just after, I think, recording the last podcast, some cool news came out. A franchise that I absolutely loved from my, I guess, childhood, but sort of like teenage years. You remember TimeSplitters, Rich? Of course you do.
I remember TimeSplitters.
Of course you remember TimeSplitters. So this was the Free Radical created kind of like spiritual successor to the GoldenEye shooter. If you play it now, it's weird. It has that first-person shooter control scheme where you know how you'd move the reticle before it would move your point of view. That's the thing I always remember from TimeSplitters. Like nowadays, that would probably feel weird, but it could be coming back. Koch Media, who have like Deep Silver in their repertoire and stuff like that, have picked up the IP for TimeSplitters off of Crytek, and they've also picked up the IP for Second Sight. Did you ever play Second Sight?
No, I never played that.
Really cool, underrated, sort of story-driven first-person shooter about a guy who's got these like burgeoning psychic powers, and it's quite mature and stuff. And it's an interesting kind of thing. It came out around the same time as Psyops. And it felt like all of a sudden there were these two games. I think so. Yes, it would have been, and PS2. And yeah, so that's something they picked up as well. But it sounds to me like the obvious plan here will be them to re-release HD re-release of TimeSplitters and Second Sight. But it does definitely sound like they're going to possibly put Deep Silver on creating a new TimeSplitters game, which I think would be a lot of fun. You know, I remember it being very silly, very anarchic, very over the top, very cartoony, all that time travel stuff, like just like crazy. Like I remember monkeys running around with guns in multiplayer, and it was just daft and had a really good sense of humor. So I'd be up for playing some more TimeSplitters. I don't know about you.
I don't think I played very much of it. I think I've had a go of it on someone else's PS2 sometime, but I've heard a lot of other people talk about it a lot. It almost has the same kind of reverence as GoldenEye for some. It
does. Yeah, I believe there was quite a lot of crossover because, of course, Rare made GoldenEye. Rare's a UK studio, and I think a bunch of those people went off to Free Radical, and TimeSplitters was their creation. So there's a definite lineage there. I remember the health and the shield meters looking quite similar to the GoldenEye ones on the sides of the screen, and it had that same feeling of control. You know, before first-person shooters were kind of homogenized in their control scheme with Halo, it was one of the ones sort of breaking ground in how those would work on a console. And yeah, it's just silly and daft, and I think we could do with more silly and daft in video games. Bring it on. Bring it on.
A long time coming. That there've been people asking for that to come back for ages. I'm sure there was some sort of Kickstarter thing a while ago.
Well, there was a lot of politics. If you remember when Free Radical got snapped up by Crytek. Crytek, I think, had plans to do something with TimeSplitters, and I think they conceptualized it, but then obviously Crytek had some really bad times in the last few years financially. They've fallen on real hard times. They've had to let a lot of people go. They've had to shrink their studio down. And I think, selling IP is the next step. They're just trying to keep going. So, giving it to Koch Media, who own Deep Silver, and, THQ Nordic, should have mentioned, they're obviously very important. That's their like publishing arm. They're really snapping things up at the moment, the guys at Koch. So I think they're the right people to have it. They're putting out a lot of interesting games at the moment. They're really pushing their IP forward in that kind of AA space. So I think TimeSplitters fits very nicely in there, not AAA EA Ubisoft, not indie, but that mid-tier publisher that we don't necessarily see a lot of anymore. They're really carving a space there for themselves. So.
Well, it's not that long ago we were saying that sector was dead. So yeah,
it's true. I think we talked about it on this show, haven't we? And it's like those guys with Deep Silver and THQ Nordic are really creating that space, in a modern setting really nicely and putting out some cool stuff. It doesn't always work, but a lot of the time, their output is a bit different. It's not as polished usually, I guess, as AAA stuff, but it's almost always worth checking out. So bring it on. In more news, this is a lot of this news. I want to give a shout out at the top here. All this news comes from Eurogamer. Even the headlines that I've used in the show notes are the Eurogamer headlines. Thank you to Eurogamer for being an amazing news source. If you really want to support them, get over there and check them out. They're not giving me any kickbacks, but I want to give them reps because they do good work. So, that's the way it is. And I've stolen all these headlines, but loads of stuff has come out of Gamescom.
With ethics like that, you should be on IGN doing video reviews.
Did we talk about that?
We did.
We did, didn't we, last time? Yeah, that guy got fired and then made a video. Did you see his video?
He's taken it down now, isn't he?
I saw it before he got taken down. That fucker don't know how to apologize. He's done. That dude is done. He's not coming back. He's gone. Like, if he ever tries to do anything, the whole internet will fall on him and rip his face off. Like, that is literally what is going to happen. That guy was a plagiarizing piece of shit and does not deserve to work ever again. No, there you go.
They found absolutely a shit ton. They found loads more stuff.
So in his video,
keep digging, keep looking for more stuff.
He calls out Jason Schreier, who we often talk about from Kotaku for doing his great investigative reporting, wrote that amazing book that me and Joel read, and I think you read as well. And basically he calls him out and goes, hey man, you know, if you can find any more, yeah, let me know. And then they found everything. It's like everything he ever done was plagiarism. Like all of it.
Even his LinkedIn profile was copied.
Yeah. Fucking, and the best bit is when he on his videos like, oh yeah, everybody does it like this. No, they don't. They don't,
No,
Phil. Phil, they don't do it like that. Nobody does it like that. Just you. You're a dirty, dirty thief. You see, at least I'm crediting my sources. I mean, that's the difference, isn't it? You know, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Anyway, we digress. Fucking idiot. Right. So moving on. More stuff from Gamescom. Halo Master Chief Collection is finally going to be fixed, I guess, and brought out in Game Pass on September the 1st, enhanced for the X with 4K and HDR. Though it says quite clearly, I noticed in the video trailer I watched this, up to 4K and HDR. So I guess that will depend on it, be game by game basis. I know HDR weirdly isn't as easy as flipping a switch. There's actually a lot of work that has to go on there with the metadata, and it doesn't always work that well with games that aren't built in mind. So it'll be interesting to see how all of that is supported with the Master Chief Collection. You know, there's going to have new fixes in place for matchmaking that should make it faster and more responsive, and more support for local area network play, which I remember so fondly with the original Halo. Oh my god!
Oh yeah,
those were the days. Oh my god. So yeah, finally fixed, finally 4K, finally on Game Pass. You know, that's the way to play it. That's the way to sort of couch it. And I think, yeah, if you're getting an Xbox for the first time, you know, you get your Game Pass trial, the first thing you should play is the Halo Master Chief Collection. If you've never played Halo, or if it was like a really long time since you had an Xbox and want to relive like the golden years of that shooter, that package is incredible. So great that it's going to be included. Anything you want to add?
It's an incredible package, isn't it? It's easy to take that for granted now, but if you just think how much is in that, and they're updating it again for the X, it's a phenomenal deal, really.
I mean,
Game Pass as well.
Undeniably fucked at launch. Like,
yes.
Don't get, and it's still up till now hasn't been perfect. However, they bit off more than they could chew. It genuinely feels like an element of they got overexcited at the prospect of giving fans something as amazing as that. And yeah, they just took on too much. I don't know if this package for new people includes ODST. I know ODST was giving to people as a mea culpa for the fuck-ups. So I'm not sure if that's in the package as standard or not. However, that if it is a brilliant, one of my favorite Halo experiences. I always recommend checking that one out. I was actually just playing it again a few weeks ago, ODST, to remind myself of how good that game is. But no, I've stopped because I was waiting for the X enhancements. I can't wait to see how good it looks. I'm going to definitely boot it up again and play some Halo. You know, it's always worth doing. Always worth going through it all again, actually.
Have you played Halo 5 in 4K?
I had a quick go. Yeah, it was okay.
Looks fantastic. It's one of the best games in 4K because it just looks so sharp and the colors are so bright.
I've only played it through properly once, the campaign of that. I might do a full run through again. I like to do that every so often.
Do that. Yeah.
Or maybe we can try and do it in co-op, Rich. That could be fun.
Oh, it's a good idea.
Ooh, maybe give that a go. But yeah, so that's finally coming to Game Pass. And in other finally news, PUBG is finally leaving Xbox Game Preview and joining a full 1.0 release on September the 4th.
Does that mean achievements?
I read the article and I haven't seen anything mentioning it. Like, weirdly, nothing mentions achievements. But every full release game on Xbox has them, doesn't it? So it's going to have achievements, isn't it? I mean, I wonder if they'll be retroactive. I mean, it does keep a track record of all your chicken dinners and stuff. So, yeah, maybe that'll work. The controversy I've noticed that's come up around this announcement is that there are cosmetic outfits being released, right? So there are, I think, 3 different outfits. So there's the outfit for the people that have had it in game preview. There's the outfit for the people buying it 1.0 release digitally. And then there's the outfit for the people buying it physically at 1.0. And according to the player base, the physical outfit's definitely the best one. And that's just fucked up. Why can't I have that if I have it digitally? Like, doesn't everybody have it digitally? And it's like everybody's getting upset about that now. And lots of people crying about how, yeah, even with a 1.0 release, this game is still broken and buggy and bullshit. Guys, I don't know what to say. I really enjoy it as it is. I've enjoyed it since the day it came out. It was my game of the year last year. I mean,
it is really good. I haven't played it for absolutely ages, though. If there's achievements in it, though, I'll go back. I will definitely go back.
Well, you will, because you have a problem.
Yeah, I know.
We talked about that last time. You need to seek some help about the achievement problem. But no, my last experience was I had an afternoon free. I was like, I'm gonna play some PUBG a few months ago, and within 2 games, I got myself a solo chicken dinner. So I was kind of like, do you know what? Don't need to play this anymore. I'm good. I've got solo, duo, and squad now.
I think that's what stopped me going back. You know, I think the last time I played was that doubles win with you. I don't think I've played since then, because that was
like the week it came out.
Yeah,
that was like 2 days after it came out or something, wasn't it?
I think it was the first week. But yeah, I hammered it that week, and then I've not gone back because we had that run of amazing wins, and I was like, yeah, I'll be in this game. It's only downhill from here. I'll wait for the achievements.
So with this 1.0 release, the 3rd map from PC, Sanok, is being included as well, which is a more action-packed, smaller map with different weapons and vehicles on that map as well. And in addition, there's going to enable, I think it's called War Mode, which is their sort of event, happens every so often, weekend event, which is more like a TDM take on PUBG. So respawns and score-based rather than one life, which I guess is a kind of would be nice for training, wouldn't it? Getting familiar with a map, getting familiar with weapons, being able to have respawns. The other news was on PC, they're actually going to be putting in a training map, an actual 2x2 kilometer detailed training map. So you can go in and, learn the game a bit rather than just being thrown in the deep end. I kind of like the whole just get in there and work it out aspect of PUBG though. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think they're a bit desperate. Fortnite has taken their lunch. I don't feel that way about Fortnite myself. I've tried it a few times and just don't really connect with it. But I'm very much alone in that, it would seem. So I don't know.
Yeah, I've given Fortnite not a lot of time. I've played it a few times, and yeah, it's not really grabbed me in the same way that PUBG did. That said, I haven't played PUBG for a very long time, but when I was on it, I really, really liked it.
For me, I'd rather play a realistic military sim. Something that's dealing with bullet physics and proper sound, mapping and realistic weaponry. It just is more my bag. And the other thing, of course, Fortnite has that PUBG probably won't ever have, but I guess they might try and do this, is that it's free. And because it's free, it's inevitable, that it was always going to be the winner, isn't it? I mean, and it's for kids. It's aimed at a younger market. And it's just captured them. It's on every platform, iOS through to high-end PC. So I mean, I believe PUBG is as well now, but Fortnite is very much designed to appeal to the youngsters. And based on where I work and the amount of questions I get regarding can we get Fortnite stuff, it's the kids that want it, like more than anybody else. Though I do get the odd person ask for PUBG. Mostly it's Fortnite, without doubt. And it's coming. It's coming. Lots of it is coming. So, right, let's move on. PUBG's coming soon. Full release. I'm interested to see if that gets rid of most of the bugs. That'd be the thing. We've got a new form of last man standing battle royale game coming to preview soon on Xbox, which is Crytek's, we mentioned Crytek earlier actually, Hunt Showdown, which is this kind of Louisiana deep south swamp set thing where you play in either singles or duos to fight. Yeah, there's a lot more. There's AI enemies in this particular take on battle royale, and they're kind of like creepy southern gothic horror, twisted, things from hell. And you basically, the mission is to take out the enemies on the map, specifically like big bosses. But then when you've done that, all the players turn on each other, and then only one person or one duo can actually win the match. So it's an interesting mixture of player versus player, but also player versus bosses and NPCs. But I think that's a slightly different take. And it looks really cool, actually. I've not played it. I've watched some videos on PC. But that's kind of
good. Yeah. I like the idea of it just being limited to 2-player, because it's been a long time that I've played anything like that. It's usually like 4-player or more, isn't it, nowadays? The more is better seems to be the ethos. But it is nice to see something crafted around a more limited, more intimate experience between 2 people. You know that,
that's,
isn't it? But
you know that's two people working together, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Against lots of other people.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
But
I just thought the way you were talking, it sounded like you were talking about a 1v1. So I was a little bit confused.
No, I know it's like loads of people, but you don't normally have a game like this where it's limited to pairs. That's normally not the focus. So I wonder what they do with that, whether there'll be anything specific around it being pairs based.
I get you. Now, Richard wanted me to drop this piece of news because he rolled his eyes at how boring he found it. And I think this is amazing, and I'm really excited about it. And that Stellaris is the first ever grand strategy game that's going to be coming somehow to consoles. Now, this is a Paradox
bland strategy.
Oh, fuck you. This is a big Paradox 4X experience. Can I remember the X's? Expand, exploit, exterminate. I always remember. I always forget the last one. Expand, exploit, exterminate. Nope, it's gone. It's gone. Richard, look it up for me. And it's coming to console.
I ain't going anywhere near this shit.
Type in what does 4X mean? You know, you go straight to Pornhub. Yeah, it's coming to console somehow, and it's being ported over by the same people that ported over Cities Skylines onto Xbox One. With that, and also did their Windows 10 version. And thinking of how that works, you know, they actually worked quite hard on the UI and how things would map to the controller. But even the Cities Skylines level of complexity is going to be dwarfed by what's on offer from Stellaris. From the ability to go right into a tactical map on one planet and zoom out and see an entire galaxy, and how you're actually going to make that work, you know, properly on a console. I'm really curious to see how that works, because it does seem like a hell of an undertaking. I hope they make it work well, because Stellaris is one of those games where I could have sunk hundreds of hours with my Galactic Empire, and I do enjoy those games a great deal. And so it's nice to see them coming to a wider audience.
Someone's got to like them. It might be good. Disclaimer: it might be good. I've got no idea.
You didn't grow up. You see,
like strategy games.
You grew up. You grew up on Nintendo consoles and things like that. Yeah, I missed out on that. I had a SNES, but I don't have a platforming background. I never did 2D or 3D platforms. Right? I don't have that love. I grew up on RTS games on PC. Right? Because I had a PC growing up because it was educational, and you know, I like to engage my brain and be a smart gamer. Unlike the people that like to go left to right and jumpy. I like to plan tactical engagements with large forces, you know, and really dominate the battle space. I'd say, you know, that just sums our differences up quite well, Richard. Left to right, jumpy. I might call you that from now on. I might put it on a t-shirt.
Sorry, what was that?
T-shirt, Richard?
I wasn't listening. I was licking windows.
Yeah. No, sounds about right. Left to right, jumpy. But I did put news in that you'd like as well. So from software news, which I just roll my eyes at and go, why play a game as boring and difficult as a Dark Souls? What's the rewarding element to that? But here we have Sekiro Shadows Die Twice getting a release date of March next year. This is coming out on all the consoles, and this is the new thing from software. Super hard fantasy, dark fantasy, samurai. Why are you doing this after Neo was already released? But anyway, so what do you make of this, Richard? Are you excited for this? Is this something that you will enjoy that isn't left to right, jumpy?
I think so. You've characterized me as someone who totally bums from software, and I kind of do.
Yeah, you do.
I still haven't finished a Dark Souls game, believe it or not.
Okay.
Which is weird, isn't it? I've got all three of them, and I've never finished one of them. So yeah, I can't say I'm excited, really. I'll probably get it, and I'll probably like it. But yeah, it'll just sort of turn up, and I'll give it a crack.
So that sounds almost like a parent, sort of slightly parentical threat. You'll get it, and you'll fucking like it. You don't have a choice. Now enjoy this, or else.
And you'll be grateful for it too.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll eat all your peas. God, it's all coming back now. It's all coming back. I'm falling down the memories of my childhood. God, no, please. No, come back. Actually, talking of memories of childhood, yeah, about this. Ready for this segue? Ready for this thing? Life is Strange 2 is dealing with the familial relationship of two brothers forced to survive in a very strange situation, seemingly brought about by older brother having carry levels of telekinetic powers. What do you think of this trailer? It's just came out at Gamescom. I mean, it's a big departure, obviously, from where Life is Strange 1 was. Already on the internet, I've had people going, oh, but I wanted to see what Chloe was going to be doing and all of this and stuff. I'm just like, no, they've always said it was going to be its own story and it's a connected universe, blah, blah, blah. But this is two brothers. They're on some kind of road trip. Something's going on. There's some powers involved, but it seems like they're leaning heavily on this relationship between the two of them. I thought it looked really nice and heartwarming, but I got the impression the trailer was probably from a very small segment of the game. Like, they're not really going to be able to survive in the woods, are they? Let's be honest. Not with just a bag of sweets or whatever they have. Like, that's one evening.
It did seem an odd trailer to me. I don't know if it reminded me of Walking Dead for some reason. I suppose walks through woods.
But is it because you played a shit ton of it recently?
Yeah.
Like, you played so much Walking Dead.
It is that. But it's a Walking Dead sort of looking game as well, isn't it? It's got that Telltale thing going on.
Except in an engine that isn't garbage. But,
well, there is that. So, yeah, I can't say I'm going to miss the old characters because I think they've run their course. And what was the last one called? Life is Strange Before the Storm.
Yeah.
That kind of outlived its welcome with too much coverage of those older characters. I'm done with them now. So yeah, it'd be nice to start afresh with something different. Looks good. I think you're right. The trailer is too short to really get a feel for where that's going to go. How much sort of supernaturally stuff there's going to be in it. I don't know. It's hard to tell with trailers like this. I mean, it almost looked a bit like a David Cage game.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. It did remind me a bit of Beyond Two Souls.
Didn't it?
And I was like, oh, God, please don't be that. Please don't be that. Yeah, it's interesting that people's reaction, wanting more Chloe and stuff, because it's like, well, it's clear what happened was. So, the publisher was like, they went to Don't Nod and went, well, people want more of this. And they went, well, no, we're doing what we said we were going to do, which is a sequel that is thematically connected, perhaps in a connected universe, but not those characters. So the publisher then went to another developer and went, can you do a prequel? And they were like, yeah, all right. And that's the fan service right there, right? So you've got what you wanted. It already exists in Before the Storm. Let Don't Nods, go off and make something new and interesting. And for me, it's all about relatable elements, right? I couldn't relate to being a teenage girl, and it doesn't mean that was bad, but it means immediately there is a slight roadblock to me in that narrative. Whereas having a younger brother, I can relate to that, so I can definitely connect to that experience a little bit more, and because of that, I'm infinitely more interested. Sorry,
I wouldn't go along with that myself. Well, it's personal experience, isn't it? But I like the idea of empathizing with something that I'm not familiar with. There's something to get out of that for me in experiencing something that I'm not going to experience it in my actual life. So that something like Life is Strange is the only way that I will be able to relate to people in those circumstances.
But it's not necessarily just me relating either, though. It's the writers being able to connect with their characters. One of the biggest problems I have with Life is Strange is that a group of 40-year-old guys writing about two teenage girls. It didn't always sound... No,
it didn't feel authentic for the first couple of episodes. It found its feet, but that was a problem.
So fingers crossed this means they'll be able to jump in and start connecting with those characters a little bit quicker and finding an authentic voice for them. But, that could be anything. That could be two incidental characters. They might not... I'm guessing that they're main characters, but at the same time, we really don't know where they're going to take this. Other than there does seem to be some form of telekinetic powers involved with the older brother, and them having, he kills a police officer, it would seem, or he thinks he kills a police officer in this trailer, and they go on the run. But that it does seem like that slightly childlike fantasy, that kind of like, oh, we can just get away from everything by walking to the woods on the side of town and we'll be fine. But it's not. That's not necessarily the reality of the situation. So it's going to be really interesting to see, especially as with the directions taken in Captain Spirit, where they take this type of storyline. I really like that sort of element that they're going for. It very much reminds me of Spielbergian films, that kind of naturalistic childhood storytelling, which delves into the fantasy worlds children inhabit. Because they live life at certain ages, don't we? Through a lens. We don't always see reality as it is, because we haven't understood, you know, what it is yet, you know, what's going on, how things actually work. So no, I'm really excited about that. I'm definitely up for it. You know, they've proven that they can do interesting things. So bring it on. Yeah. Slightly more downer news. Twitch, which I'd slowly been recently getting into more and more, watching stuff, being a Twitch Prime subscriber as well through Amazon Prime, I was enjoying the service, but only to find out they're bringing ads back. Even though I'm a paid subscriber, they're going to be bringing fucking ads back to Twitch. And it's like, that seems like bullshit. And the reason they've given for it is that the ad revenue is going to be there to help pay creators. You know, it's going to go in the creator's pocket. I believe you, Amazon. Sure, I fucking believe you.
So where does your subscription go?
So yeah, they're basically saying that the £7.99 a month you play on Amazon Prime, or the £79 a year, is you know, it's getting you those free games. It gets you the bonuses of being a Twitch subscriber. I think what they've probably realized is that the majority of Twitch Prime members, like myself, come to Twitch Prime via Amazon. That it's an additive service that isn't really, that many Twitch Prime people aren't either, you know, Amazon Prime people aren't using, or the people that do just use Twitch probably aren't signing up for if they're just using Twitch. It's just a little bonus for Amazon. So they've realized, you know, we should probably ad support this. It's not generating the kind of revenue we hoped it would. But the problem is doing that retroactively. It's a bad look, isn't it? It makes them look really shitty, putting ads in on a paid subscription model. You know, there was just a bunch of uproar recently about the possibility that Netflix was going to start running ads just for its own shows within, like, on a pre-roll situation, prior to watching an episode of one of their things, or watching a film.
They did do that. They tried that. I think they must have dropped it pretty quick, because I've not seen it for a while, but they did trial that for a couple of weeks.
And even though that's for their own shit in their own ecosystem, people were like, no, this is a subscription. We are paying not to fucking see adverts. Otherwise, why should we be paying the amount we're paying? And it's like, well, that's valid, isn't it? Like, why, you know, if that's the reason you've got people to cut cord and move away from, you know, the cable providers and the satellite providers, is by saying you can have an ad-free experience, then adding in ads in whatever form is going to be abhorrent to that user. But, you know,
there's decent ways of doing it. I think what Netflix have settled on now is quite a tidy way of solving that problem. So they do still run trailers, but only after you've watched the thing that you came to watch. So there's nothing getting in the way. But if you finish watching your show and then it says, oh, by the way, you might like this as well, who can object to that? It's quite a good way of filtering content to the surface, I would say.
I was reading some interesting theories recently about everybody talking about TV and stuff, the death of cable television. And actually, it's not. What we're seeing is the evolution of cable television. That the idea that everybody is cutting their cords, but all those same TV providers are now offering digital services and subscriptions. And in 10 years' time, it'll just be the same as cable TV, but it'll all be over the fucking internet. And that does, you look at this and how ads are sneaking their way back in, and how companies are trying stuff. And it's because these companies have got to the point where they're now the only game in town, and that you're so locked into that ecosystem that they're going to try stuff, and they're going to get away with more and more and more. And it will, you know, in 10 years' time, it'll be funny. We'll look back at this as the halcyon age between these two moments, and we'll probably be on something very similar to what we had 10 years ago. And it's slightly concerning. We all think we're getting away from them, but no, I feel like there's too much money in advertising for those companies just to give up. Do you know what I mean? It's all about evolving the offering.
That's a depressing thought.
It is depressing, isn't it? But that's life. That's life in a capitalist world. Let's put it that way. We need to get rid of the capitalist world. Yeah, I think that would be a good thing. So yeah, Twitch Prime adverts. I can't wait to see what shit they're going to try and push on me now that I've just started watching Twitch stuff. Fantastic. Actually, while we're talking about Twitch, we have a new contributor who's just put a video up. Christopher, I want to say Goldthorn. And I probably should check that, because he goes by a different name on Twitch and YouTube. And he's a fairly successful and established Twitch streamer. Goes by The Humble Gamer. And his stuff is pretty damn good, wouldn't you say, Rich?
It is pretty good. Yeah, I watched some of his 80 days around the world in 80 game days, I think he called it.
That's it, yeah.
And yeah, that was pretty fun.
Yeah, Christopher Goldthorne, he's joined us and he's done his first review on our website, Fugue Void on PC. I really liked it. And yeah, check out The Humble Gamer on Twitch and on YouTube. So he does he live streams on Twitch like 3 or 4 times a week. And he also puts a lot of archive stuff up on YouTube from the Twitch. But I think he does stuff special for his YouTubes as well. And is now doing video reviews for us. So welcome to the stream, Christopher, The Humble Gamer. I'm sure we'll talk about you more, and hopefully we'll get him on one of these podcasts, Richard. They couldn't make it this week. I did ask him; he couldn't make it this week, but fingers crossed the next one. We might have 4 of us on the next one. Ooh, how will we handle it? Okay, back to the Gamescom news because there's so fucking much of it. This isn't even all of it, Rich. I cut loads. I cut so much I didn't use. But you remember Until Dawn?
Yes, I do remember Until Dawn. Good game. That
was that sort of cinematic, schlocky horror, sort of slightly choose your own adventure-y, sort of narrative driven, not a lot of actual interactive elements. Like Teens in the Woods, wasn't it? Like Cabin in the Woods vibe, very creepy and silly and violent and gory, and yeah, good fun. Just really B-movie good fun. Well, those guys, Supermassive, are going to be bringing out a new horror anthology type of games, and they're going to be going by, I'm trying to find the name, Dark Pictures Anthology is what it's going by. And the first game is called The Man of Medan, and it's going to be out on every platform. It's not going to be PS4 exclusive this time, or I think it was PS4 and PC, wasn't it, Until Dawn? Yeah, this is going to be out on everything. And so we were actually discussing this a little bit earlier. You were like, does this mean it's episodic? And so an anthology is kind of like that, I guess, but the difference is that it's not connected. It's not the same characters. Best example, Outer Limits, Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
That's anthology, right? So that's what I'm hoping to see from this. Imagine how cool that kind of a shorter 2, 4, 6 hour gaming experience, you know, Twilight Zone-esque horror, fantastical elements can be as a video game.
That would be cool.
Well down for that.
Yeah, that would be cool. But that's kind of easier to do in a television show format. I'm not sure how it's going to work in video games because, yeah, I said to you, does this mean it's episodic? I suppose the root of my question is, how are they going to sell it? You know, is it going to be a 40, 50 quid release each one, or what?
Can't be. You couldn't ask for more than 25, 30, surely. And that sounds out of push. I mean, I don't know yet. There's a great quote here from EUROGAMER. They've identified 39 different subgenres of horror that they'd like to do. 39 different game concepts they've come up with. Good luck with that. That's ambitious. But the great thing about doing an anthology is it could last just the one. Like, it could fall on its face and they could pivot into something else, or it could become hugely successful and they'd be making them for the next 20 years. Yeah. I mean, watching the trailer, it looks like they're leaning into the sort of the ghost ship idea, which is a fun subgenre of horror. Absolutely. Some terrible examples come to mind. Do you remember Jamie Lee Curtis's Virus?
No,
you don't remember that one? That was about Jamie Lee Curtis is she's like a crew member on a salvage ship, and they find this ship, a ghost ship, like drifting, and they go on board, and it's like all high tech, and they've got a space virus, I think, like a computer virus, has come down, and it's like taken over like this cybernetic thing, and then it creates this monster that starts hunting them on the ship.
What?
Fucking
I've got to see this.
So that's an example of a ghost ship type horror. It's absolute garbage, but it's sort of like body horror, gory, and just dumb. I feel like one of the Baldwins might be in it as well, but I might be misremembering that. They show up in all kinds of places.
William Baldwin.
God, man, my knowledge of crap movies. Once again,
Donald Sutherland.
Donald fucking Sutherland. Wow. Did I remember the plot roughly correctly? I mean, I was dredging there, but
I don't know. I'm just looking at pictures. Just looking at pictures. I wanted to see what era it was. So it's not that old then, because Jamie Lee Curtis has been around donkey's years.
It's 99.
99.
I've just looked it up as well. Yeah. Let me read you the IMDb 2-line summary. When the crew of an American tugboat boards an abandoned Russian research vessel, the alien life form aboard regards them as a virus which must be destroyed. So yeah, I think I was pretty accurate with my description.
Pretty good.
Not bad considering I've seen that once or twice in 20 years. I think that's pretty good going.
20 years. I've just depressed myself thinking, 1999, that's not that long ago. Jesus Christ, I'm so old.
20 years ago next year. 20 years next year.
Yeah,
that keeps happening to me as well. Which, don't worry, that's happening a lot. That's happening a lot now. Just keep playing video games. You know, if you keep playing video games, you feel like you're 12 again.
Yeah,
that's the best way of staying young.
Yeah, especially if they're like platformers. You know?
Oh, you mean left to right, jumpy.
Right. Jump.
There we go. That's the way to do it.
Bleep, bloop. Jump.
Jump. Right. God, keeping going. Shenmue 3 has a release date, supposedly. August 27th next year is what they've said.
Okay.
I would say you wouldn't get good odds on predicting that not being hit. Would you? Crazy to think, though, it was announced like, what was it, 3 years ago at E3, I want to say. So it's already been a while. I mean, do you remember they announced it as like a Kickstarter as well?
Yes.
You remember that? Like,
that's almost fraud, that. Not right, is it?
I still can't believe they did that. Why did you crowdfund this? It's the weirdest choice. Yeah, 2015.
Some ludicrous low target as well. Wasn't it like $500,000 or something they raised for them from the Kickstarter? Something silly.
I thought they smashed it. I thought they smashed the Kickstarter.
Oh, they smashed their target, but I think their
target was low.
Ludicrously low. It would never be enough to make the game.
So it wasn't an actual target. It was more like, this is a stupid PR stunt.
Yeah,
absolutely. As they often are. So yeah, August 27th. It's a smart time of year to release a game like that. You're going to get a lot of publicity. You're going to get a quiet release window. If they make that, that is a smart time. And that in conjunction to this announcement, I believe it's not by mistake that Shenmue 1 and 2 like new remastered versions have been released on Xbox One and PS4 for the first time. And I've never played Shenmue, Richard. And I was sort of looking at that going, there must be a reason people go on about this all the fucking time. Should I download this and try it? It's only 25 quid. Should I give Shenmue a go? What do you think? You've played it.
I've played it a very long time ago. 1999 was it? Virus. I think I played this game. No, it came out 2001, didn't it? I think just after Dreamcast was launched. Sure. And I remember I imported a Dreamcast. I absolutely loved Sega back then. I imported my Japanese Dreamcast at launch, and hurriedly got Shenmue on it as soon as that came out, and convinced myself for probably 3 days that it was probably going to get good, and I don't think it ever did.
Did you find the sailors?
I don't remember the sailors.
It's the only thing it's the only meme I can recall from Shenmue. So is that
I don't think I saw the sailors play. I didn't get that far in it. I found it quite boring. So I remember walking around a house. You could pick stuff up and turn it around and look at it, and that was like a thing then. I was like, wow, you can pick things up. And there was one of those machines where you've got a ball and it drops out and you get stuff out of the ball.
Yeah.
It's got one of those in it. It's like, oh wow, it's got things in balls. That's good. And yeah, it was quite cool as a technical demo, really, of what the Dreamcast could do. It's like they spent a lot of money on making it look amazing. It really did look good at the time. But I don't know. That is not a game, as far as I'm concerned. There was not anything fun about it.
It was almost trying to be a bit of a life simulator, wasn't it? It was giving you a slightly melodramatic, kung fu-y storyline, but in many ways you had a job and you had to make money, and you had to do investigations, but you had to also kind of just live, and exist. So I guess what people remember fondly maybe is it's a crazy ambition, and then also its ability to create a sense of place. That's always the vibe I've got from it. That it feels very grounded. It
just felt incredibly pedestrian, and that was from someone who really wanted to like it. But there's a lot of people who really did love Shenmue and still love it now. So I don't know. I guess there's something there.
There must be something. I am curious, as someone who's never experienced it. Maybe I take a punt and play, 20 minutes before I give up, knowing what I'm like. That's 25 quid, 20 minutes. Good value there. Really solid value.
Yeah. I fancy giving it another try, actually, just to see how it lives up to my memories. Maybe I'd like it more now. Don't know. yeah, I didn't really get on with it at the time.
Yeah, maybe that now you're an adult, maybe you can appreciate the storytelling perhaps more than like the, because maybe as a kid you felt like the action wasn't there. I mean, how old were you in 2001?
Oh Christ.
Oh, that was nearly 20 years ago, if that helps. You were in your 20s. You were in your 20s. Early 20s.
22, 21.
There you go. You probably just wanted kung fu and bitches, didn't you? That's all you were interested in. Blood and bitches. That's all you cared about at 22, Richard. I know what you're like. I know what you're like. You're not this postmodern man you are today. Guaranteed.
Postmodern man. No. I'm a real man now.
So moving on with the news, the never-ending news. This is connected to actually one of the few games I've played in the last couple of weeks that wasn't for review. Was I booted up Destiny 2 again and had a little poke around like what's going on at the moment and stuff. But in connected to that, people are going to be able to try it on the 1st of September from 6 p.m. our time in the UK. You're going to be able to try the new Forsaken game mode, Gambit, for free. Prior to the release of the Forsaken expansion on the 4th of September, which is pretty cool. They're going to have this 24-hour open window so you can try out this new kind of multiplayer and competitive sort of AI-based experience that is Gambit. I think that's kind of cool that they're going to let people try it before they put their money down. But in related news, I put my money down. So
I ain't doing that. I've not played Destiny 2 since the first couple of weeks. I've got the expansion pack, not touched any of that.
Either of them.
Stuff.
You've not played either of them. Oh
nope.
Man, yeah, wow, okay. At least I played it all. I booted it up, and I found myself happily back in the loop. Back in that. Every week there's a new planet which gives you bonuses for doing stuff on it, and you can get extra gear from it. So I started on that, and then I was like getting some extra gear, which made me able to do this thing and that thing and get that challenge done and turn in these bounties. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'll do a couple of strikes, which gave me this thing and that thing and gave me those rewards. Oh, and I then got a bunch of exotics, and I was like, yeah, this is still fun. There are problems. Yes, this game is not perfect. No, but the core experience is still a good one. It's still a good shooter, and it looks fantastic on the X with the 4K and the HDR. It plays really well, and it's just the kind of thing you can listen to something. You can listen to a podcast, an audio book, and just chill out and play some Destiny and feel like you're getting rewarded. So yeah, I plonked my money down just yesterday on the bells and whistles, everything all together, Forsaken Year 2 pass thing. Special edition digital deluxe, fuck knows what they called it. But I've supported the Destiny stuff since day one, and yeah, Activision's monetization of this has been pretty egregious, and I'm not at all apologizing for that. However, I can't deny the amount of time I've put into these games and the amount of fun I've had from them. So it's just like, yeah, I have no issue with the money I've spent on it at the end of the day. Unlike the money I spent on Mass Effect Andromeda, which I do regret. So that I can admit and acknowledge these things. However, Destiny is still cool. I still enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to Forsaken, and I watched the new CGI trailer, and they do seem to really be doubling down on killing Cade, which is a big deal. I think that because he's probably the most popular character. I'm very curious to see how that plays out. Also, I'm really excited about these new modes, and it's kind of curious watching them almost in real time develop the game. Just from a sort of a morbid curiosity, like, shouldn't this have all been in there at launch? Probably yes. However, watching it slowly get put in over time is also kind of fascinating, if disappointing. Do you know what I mean? It's I
do know what you mean, because that's Destiny 1.
It's the same. It's the same. The weird thing is there were so many good things at the end of Destiny 1's lifespan, which they then didn't put into Destiny 2. And you're just like, why? Why is that? Like, fucking, we wanted...
Why would they, when Ben's going to spend another £6?
But I still...
The privilege of them finishing the game later.
My mind is still boggled about, right, we didn't want less lore, we just wanted it delivered better. So instead of finding a way of giving us grimoire cards in a more interesting way in Destiny 2, they just pulled them all out. And it's just like, I don't understand. Don't understand. But yeah, so that's it's just around the corner, the full expansion. But you'll be able to try Gambit out on the 1st, which I think worth doing. I'm looking forward to that mode. Looks good. Right. Final piece of news before we talk about some games. That's how long we've been talking about this news here. Assassin's Creed is going to take a year off in 2019. Everyone's famous and favorite Ubisoft spokesperson and owner of the company, Yves Guillemot, said in an interview that basically it was kind of like just sort of coincidental that we got them both one after the other, Origins and then Odyssey. It's just how it worked out timing-wise with the teams, and that these games should be considered more like two halves of the same package. Like they're both representing the new direction and the new development of the franchise, and there won't be one in 2019, which I think is good news. I think it might be you could argue that Odyssey maybe is a little bit too much too soon, but I am still proper excited for that setting. I am really looking forward to playing Odyssey just because of the Greek setting.
I don't know why they do it. It's funny, isn't it? I wonder if what they're doing with some of their other games will start to rub off. Maybe this is it starting to rub off on their more regular series like Assassin's Creed, where we get one every year. But more recently, Ubisoft have been trying to support games for a long, long time and not replacing them. So Rainbow Six Siege has been going for ages. Ghost Recon's been going for 18 months so far. Division has been going for quite a long time. I know we're getting Division 2 soon, but they've left it for a fair while before replacing that. So, yeah, with the scale of games that Ubisoft brings, it does seem a shame that they just bin them off so quickly.
Well, they've said that Odyssey is going to be supported with, they've got a whole nother year of content and stuff planned, and there's going to be a lot more post-release content for it. There was a lot for Origins as well, to be honest. There was some really good DLC for that. But yeah, Odyssey is going to have even more support while they wait, while we get through into 2020, which is when the next, the implication is that's when the next one will appear. But yeah,
even if you don't buy the new game, and they might still support the previous game, but if you know that you haven't got the latest one, just kind of take the shine off, doesn't it? You think, well, maybe I should stop playing this and get the new one. But yeah, it's nice to think that they will have a bit more breathing space between them. Good.
I am looking forward to. Sorry, I was taking a sip of beer there. I wasn't ready to reply. I'm looking forward to getting into that Greek world of Odyssey. I can't wait to fight the mythical creatures and to do all the the fact that you're Leonidas's grandchild from 300. I'm down for that so much, and that there's a move you can unlock called Spartan Kick, which you can just punt people. Bring it on. This is corny and silly. And you get missions from Socrates. And it's like, this is dumb. I love fucking Assassin's Creed for that. This sort of historical fantasy porn is what it basically is. And it's just like every sort of unrealistic historical dream you could ever have comes true. They're great. They're great fun. Right. That brings us to the end of all the news that's come out over Gamescom and in the last 2 weeks that I've decided to cover here. There's been a fair bit of news actually, but there's some more out there. And I would of course recommend you head over to Eurogamer to get all your up-to-date gaming news, because why would I bother posting that stuff on Bxb when there are a million other sites, including Eurogamer, that does it far better than I could. Once again, not a kickback from them, just really like what they do. Right, let's talk about some of the games we've been playing for review, which by that I mean I've been playing for review. I'm not sure Richard even wants to talk about the game he's been playing, but we'll get to that shortly. Let's first of all, let me talk about, it's a shame Joel isn't here actually, because he would be the one to ask me about this, but I will talk about
glad he's not flipping
why?
F1.
Why?
Because when you two talk about F1, it goes on for ages. It's boring.
It's like when me and you talk about wrestling.
Well,
we could have talked about wrestling at the top of the show, fucking Takeover and SummerSlam, but we didn't. You didn't mention that. But no, we can save the deep dive into F1 because there's been lots of interesting driver news in the last few weeks. And I'm sure Joel would love to talk to me about that, but he isn't here. So I'll just mention that F1 2018 is just as good as F1 2017. Okay. There are,
and the next game.
Right, yeah, fuck you. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit because I've put a lot of time into it and I've really enjoyed it. And it is definitely iterative. It is a smaller update on the previous year than 2017 was to 2016. It's still got just as much depth in its career mode. It's still got, the driving, it feels better than ever. The handling feels fantastic. There are tweaks to the career management, which are really cool. Things like contract negotiations, so you can move between teams and demand more benefits from the team if you decide to stay in a team. Yeah, this is proper minutiae. And the big thing that's sort of setting it apart in gameplay this year is that the ability of interviews are back. So they're calling it Headliner, the Headliner edition, for a reason. And it's because you now have interaction with the press once again in the career mode. This is something that happened many years ago, but never has happened on this current generation of hardware. And it basically is a interview. A woman will come up to you, this press lady, and she'll ask you some questions. You have multiple choice answers, and the answers that you give will impact things like your reputation with your team, or how you're perceived as a race driver, if you're, say, a showman or a sportsman. And it will do things like give you buffs and debuffs to different elements of your R&D to do with things like your power systems, your engine abilities, your drivetrain, your aerodynamics, and your durability, just to name a few. So all of those things can be affected by your answers that you give in these post-qualifying, post-practice, and post-race interviews. Yeah. That's the main addition. It's still a great driving game. I scored it only 4 out of 5 this year compared to last year's 5 out of 5, because last year I thought it really stood out because it had evolved the sport to represent where the sport was in reality so closely that the cars felt so great to drive, and that the career had been expanded upon in such interesting ways that it really did feel like the pinnacle of the franchise. This year isn't any worse. It's just doing less to make it stand out. Okay. So, you know, if you're a fan of the sport, you're going to want this year because, of course, you know, you're a fan. And I will stick to what I've said for the last, I've done the reviews for this the 3rd year in a row now. And I always say that, yes, you could play this game even if you are just a bit of a driving enthusiast. Absolutely. You can stick it on easy. You can put all the driving assists in there. But you're going to get the most from it if you are a fan of the sport and you understand things like tire compounds, pit strategies, different elements of the practice sessions are important to you, how qualifying works. If you get the minutiae of it, you'll play this and you'll understand quite quickly that Codemasters get it just as much as you.
That's what I said. Boring.
You negative Nancy, you. You'd probably really like F1 if you gave it a chance. Yeah, I reckon if you watched a few races, you get well sucked in, mate.
I would now. Now I like cars with sport on them.
Yeah, exactly. You were talking about, you're talking about cars with like Formula One racing livery options. Like, fucking hell. Go faster stripes. Yeah, that's what it's all about, baby. But no, so this year is iterative, feels great. There's the classic cars are still in there. Everything that was in there the year before. The one other thing I wanted to mention, but I wasn't really able to test out, is that there is a new system in multiplayer called the Super License, which is basically you get a ranking depending on how, not just where you place in the race, but how you race. Are you an aggressive dick that tries to crash people off and doesn't care about how the sport should actually be run? Or are you a conscientious driver that tries to do, drive as a real Formula One race driver are? Now, depending on how you do it, you'll get basically put in hoppers with other drivers of that type. Now, I wasn't able to actually test that because I was playing pre-release and nobody else, it wasn't widely released, and therefore there was nobody else to race with. However, if that works nicely, that would be a really cool addition, because the worst thing is when you're playing an F1 game and you're trying to play a sim racer and there's some douchebag who's like crashing into everybody on the first fucking corner.
I was going to say, like, that sounds like you would be that guy.
Not when I play F1. Not when I play F1. If I'm playing fucking Forza, yeah, I'm going to bin you hard. But, like, not when I play F1, because F1's all about, looking after your car. It's all about watching that damage, because a little knock on your front wing and you're going to have your race completely compromised. You're done, like, in that first corner. So it's all about understanding the brake zones, understanding different ways of accelerating out of corners, especially when you're playing without the assists. I love the assists in F1. You can literally turn everything on and it's almost on rails, and then you can turn everything off and you will struggle to drive in a straight line. Like it runs the gamut of difficulty, which I really appreciate. It's incredibly granular in the options you can choose, even the AI difficulty. It's not just like very easy, medium, hard. It's literally a slider of 1 to 100. Yeah. And you can pick anywhere within that to decide how hard you want your opponents to be, which is just fantastic levels of decision making that you can do there in the difficulty. So yeah, really, really loving this year's F1 2018. I've sunk so many hours into my career already, and I want to keep going. I really hooked into it this year. But yeah. So, Richard.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about a game?
Not really, but I suppose I better.
You don't have to if you don't want to. You can talk about one of the other games on your list.
Can I? Okay. What else should I talk about? Can I talk to you about Stellaris? That's interesting.
Yeah, go for it.
It's not, as I first thought, about denture cleaning tablets.
Okay.
You say that as if you don't know what I'm talking about. Stellaris, the famous denture cleaning tablet brand.
As I've never owned dentures.
Neither have I. I ain't that old. Jesus Christ. Anyway, right, Stellaris. It's not about dentures. It's a shooting game. It's a side-scrolling 2D, old-school-looking shooter.
Is this pixel art sci-fi one?
Yes.
I played this. Yeah, I played this. It's hard.
Did you like it? It is hard. Yeah. So
really hard.
It's on Game Pass at the moment, so that's why I played it. And
achievements.
Well, not so much. I'm just paying for Game Pass, aren't I? So I wanted to try it, and it looked cool. So yeah, I really like the art style. I'm still not bored of pixel art. I think it still looks cool because I'm a console kid from the 80s and 90s, so it looks good. But this is interesting because most shooters don't have the same sort of structure as this. It's got kind of a roguelike design to it. So you start with your ship of choice. I think there's 5 to unlock. You start with a basic one, and depending on how far you get through the game, you can unlock more ships. And as you go through the game, you unlock weapons within that sort of go. Yeah, and each level is sort of different every time you play it, but it's always quite short. So you get maybe 90 seconds, 2 minutes of shooting stuff, and then like a boss ship at the end that's got different sort of attacks. And it always mixes it up, so you never quite know what enemies you're going to get, what order they're going to come in, or what weapons are going to drop for you to use. So it's always challenging because you can't really master it in that way. You're always kind of on the back foot reacting. But it's got a really frenetic pace. There's always loads of stuff going on. As I say, it looks really good. And it's good for just dropping in and out. It doesn't take very long to play a game. I haven't got very far in it saying that, so that much might just be me being shit. So I don't know how long the game itself is, but it seems to work on a sort of cycle structure. So you have what looks like 5 rounds. You've got 5 levels and then a boss at the end. And then I think it cycles through from the beginning again with a different sort of random level generated. But yeah, if you just want to drop in for some quick blasting and you've got Game Pass, there's not much else like this that feels as solid as this. It's one of those shooters that really feels solid, so I'm enjoying it. It's good.
Cool, man. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying one of the games you've been playing recently.
Yes. I'm not a complete misery. I do still enjoy video games sometimes.
So I have a question for you. Why have you been playing this when you could have been playing a game I've actually been playing and I've got a review in the work for? Yeah. Graveyard Keeper actually got put on Game Pass the day it came out. I'm surprised you didn't check that out.
Yeah. I'm pretending to. I don't know. I just sort of put that on the backlog for a bit. But tell me about it. What's it like?
Graveyard Keeper is Stardew Valley. It's Stardew Valley with a darker, weird sense of humor. It's made by the guys that made Punch Club, Lazy Bear, I want to say. And basically, it's a similar idea of you're moving around, you're walking your little guy around, you're doing menial tasks, and you're managing something very similar to a farm. It turns out with your graveyard. It's weird setup. Your guy basically is in the modern day and has an accident and then wakes up in this sort of Dark Ages fantasy graveyard where you're made to be the graveyard keeper. And you have a talking skull as a friend who gives you advice. And beyond just sort of like digging holes for corpses and burying them, you also do things like perform autopsies and remove various organs and body parts and bones and brains and blood. And if you're slightly unscrupulous, you can package this meat and byproduct up as a consumable that you can sell to the villagers. Yeah. It's weird. It's dark. It's really peculiar. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's the same level of in-depth management that you'd have from a Stardew Valley. So all that sort of like, you know, X produce you need to do to produce, you know, make Y, and then Y will produce Z, and then Z can get you, you know, A, and so on and so forth and so on, and repeat. And you've also got like the different relationships you have with the villagers and the sort of the church and stuff. And you're also trying to renovate things and keep your graveyard looking nice and you know, while just doing sort of the burying and stuff. So that, think of the graveyard maintenance as the farming, basically, of Stardew Valley. And then you've got this strange sort of economy based around possibly cannibalism. Not possibly, definitely cannibalism if you so wish to go down that road. But it's curious and weird and morbid and fun and really good.
Your idea.
Yeah, it's cool. It you can tell it comes from somewhere in Europe, shall we say? Because it doesn't have that slightly sort of whitewashed happy American vibe to it. Like Stardew Valley does. It has a definite darkness. And it appeals to me on certain levels. It's twisted, you know, and it's a twisted Stardew Valley is a good way of describing it. I'd recommend checking it out, especially as it's on Game Pass.
Well,
like, seriously, totally worth doing.
So I'll give that a go.
Yeah, definitely have a look at that. I'd be curious to see what you thought of it. The other game I've been playing is you would love this game. Right, this game I've been playing. It's PC only though, sadly. Otherwise, I would have 100% sent it to you to check out. And it's called Not Tonight, right? And Not Tonight is a post-Brexit simulator.
Oh dear.
So this is about a world in which after Brexit, we allow a even more right-wing extremist party to take control of the UK. So any European nationals are basically put in state housing and basically camps. I mean, basically camps. And you have to make a certain amount of money to earn the right to stay in the UK. And your particular character does this by being a bouncer, by being a doorman, and working in dive bars and shitty clubs and private parties, which are always somewhat dodgy. And you basically have to deal with pretty overt, like, disgust and racism from the UK nationals, usually through their appearance as police or private security and stuff like that. And it's basically a UK that is falling apart and is just disgusting and revolting and you know, completely lost our way. And it doesn't hide its politics, that's for sure.
This sounds great.
Yeah, I think you'd love it. I think you'd fucking love it. No, I don't know. I mean, it's pixel art.
I'm looking at it. Yeah, it's coming to PS4, Xbox One, Switch.
Brilliant. Yeah, fantastic news. Now, it's been published by the same guys that did Descenders. I can't remember. Are you looking at it now? Can you tell me the publisher's name? And they're basically an up-and-coming British publisher that's trying new things, and they're doing new things. I want to say not more robots.
No more robots.
No more robots, yes. And they're really cool, and they've got a different type of ethos for the games that they're trying to go after. And this is them, taking the politics head on. They're not hiding their left-wing stance in this one, that's for sure. And it's cool. Socially minded gaming. The gameplay itself, I need to put more time into it, but the gameplay itself, it reminds me a lot of Papers, Please. So you're looking at documents, like, so for example, you'll be minding the door and you're told you can't let anyone in who's under 18, but you have to also have a valid permit dated before a certain date, so they show that they're a legal citizen. So you have they give you the documentation, you have to then check it and then approve or reject their request to enter whatever establishment you're being a doorman for. And this gets more complex with different things you have to check as the game goes along. And as the story unfolds, you find out more about the political and social situation you're in. And it's pretty depressing, but it has a sense of humor to it. And, it opens up with this like big party celebrating how long this particular government has been in power. And then you let someone in, and then a massive bomb goes off and it blows up. I think it's the Houses of Parliament behind you or something like that. It's like it's a
museum, apparently. It's the museum of British Museum of History.
Are you literally watching it right now? I mean, like,
I'm reading a thing about it.
Oh, right. Okay. I was like, how do you know that? But yeah, it's all like, well, that's how it opens up. And then it skips back in time to how you got to that moment, basically. It's curious, man. It's curious.
I want to try that. Yeah, it's coming out. It looks like it's coming out on all platforms this year. I suppose it's got to before Brexit happens. So,
well, if there's any hopes of changing people's opinion. But it's cool. It's cool.
I'll be
Definitely
buying
worth checking out.
that. I'll get that.
Recommendation for you there, straight up. So yeah, that's what I'll have a review of Graveyard Keeper and Not Tonight up as soon as possible. I will just mention I've been playing something, but I can't really talk about it because I'm under embargo. But I'm allowed to sort of say I've been playing it. I've been playing Strange Brigade.
Always your humble brags. Every podcast. Oh, I've got games that I can't talk about.
But it's not humble brag. It's just all because I want to talk about this shit.
Go on.
I hate embargoes. I fucking hate them. Strange Brigade. So Strange Brigade is Rebellion, and it's using the Sniper Elite 4 engine, and it's this sort of 20 set pulpy science adventure kind of Indiana Jonesy kind of set sort of thing, where you're fighting in Egypt against mummies and zombies, and you're this brigade of unlikely heroes, like soldier guy and like an academic, and a tough lass, and like a warrior lady from the subcontinent and things like that. And it's like them all coming together to fight this really sort of over the top enemies and stuff like that. And it has a really good sense of humor to it. And I'll just say I'm enjoying it a lot so far. How about that? We'll just go with that. I'm enjoying it a lot, and I think if you're in the mood, it's co-op driven. So it's all you can play up to 4 players together, and there's horde modes, time attack mode, and a story mode. And yeah, it's really enjoyable. And in Rebellion often they use that Sniper Elite engine to do spin-offs, like they did the Zombie Army trilogy, as we know, because one of our contributors from back in the day actually worked on that. And this is that in that same sort of vein, that spin-off using that engine. I think it's worth checking out. Yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. I have a full review for that up early next week. So yes, that's what I've been doing. Did you want to touch on a few more of your games that you've been playing, Mr. Richards?
Yeah, I've been playing a load of weird stuff really this past couple of weeks. So LetterQuest, I've put quite a bit of time into. This is all stuff that's on Game Pass. You might realise by the sort of variety of stuff that I've been playing, because there's no rhyme or reason to it other than it's on Game Pass. LetterQuest is I want to say, well, is it a puzzle game? It's one of those where you've got it's a turn-based thing, right? So you spell a word on a grid, and that does damage to a dude, and then he does damage to you, and then it's about whether or not you do enough damage before he kills you. So
I played it.
You played it?
Mm-hmm.
It's all right, isn't it? It's
okay.
Weirdly,
it's kind of charming, I guess.
Weirdly addictive, trying to spell funny words and seeing what comes out of it. My top scoring word for damage was Tories, believe it or not.
Tories.
Yeah.
Well, they do the most damage.
Indeed, they do, particularly in LetterQuest. So there's a tip for anyone. I enjoyed that moment particularly, but yeah, generally it is quite a fun game. So it mixes it up a bit with different effects on the letter tiles. So some of them have poison effects. If you don't get rid of them, your character loses health. Some of them have spikes attached to, if you use them, they affect your health, stuff like that. So it's quite good fun. So it's got a different take on each level as well. So the idea is you work through a map, and each section of the map has got a few enemies to defeat by spelling as many words as you can. If you go back through again, there's different sort of modes. So you can try and do it within a time limit or with particular restrictions, like do it within less than 12 words or less than 80 letters. So there's a bit of replay value there as well. And there's stuff to unlock. So you might be able to get more damage or greater defense, potions that you can use in battle, or sort of, I think, crystals they're called. So you get particular effects on tiles that you can unlock later on, which might give you a shield or something like that. So there's quite a lot of extra sort of bonus content there beyond the core idea of the game, which is quite good value, particularly on Game Pass, where it will cost you nothing. So get that.
Yeah, I remember liking it. I played it once, for about an hour or something. I was like, yeah, that's enough. I'm good. I get it.
I kind of couldn't stop. It feels kind of throwaway, doesn't it? But at the same time, because it is so easy to play and just pick up without any sort of commitment, you feel like you can put it down any minute, but you just don't. I'll just sit on it for ages.
You like word games, I take it. I always used to get quite frustrated with Scrabble.
No, I really like them. I like stuff like that.
I love the English language. I love writing, but when I'm given a collection of limited letters, I'm like, this isn't fun. This is just frustrating. I don't like to be restricted in my creativity, I think. But, you know, yeah, it's cool. I can understand the appeal, definitely. I feel like I know Binary Stars. Feel like on your list, but I know the name. Maybe
we've already talked about it.
Oh, have we? Maybe that's why I know it. Why is it on your list then if we've already talked about it?
What are you talking about? We talked about it a few minutes ago. My Steradent joke.
No, that was no Binary Stars. Is that the same game?
Yes.
Oh, why did you put oh, I thought it was a comma.
No, it's a colon. Learn your colons.
Move on. I thought it was a separate game. I honestly thought it was Steradren and then Binary Stars. It's the same fucking game. I'm doing well today. Brilliant. I also downloaded Rage as well with Game Pass. I've yet to actually play it again though, because I was curious. I want to delve into it a little bit before the sequel comes out.
Rage 2. Yeah, that's why I just wanted to reacquaint myself with it before the sequel comes out. So I've played it for a few minutes. I never played it very much first time round. So
I beat it. I beat the game. I remember when it came.
Did you? Yeah. Is it worth putting time into?
I liked it at the time. I mean, it's a little bit brown and grey by today's standards, I guess. But no, I thought it was cool at the time.
Yeah, I might play it a bit more, but I haven't got much to say about it other than it still looks quite good, I guess, considering it's quite old now. The game I really want to talk about before I forget is Hollow Knight.
Okay, yes, do it. It's on sale right now on the Nintendo
It's on sale on Switch, and I think it's only on Switch and PC at the minute. I want to say I don't think it's on the main consoles, but yeah, it's on sale for about £7.25. Was it?
Yeah,
something like that. About £7.
Seven something. Yeah, seven something.
And I've put in, I don't know, maybe 7 hours so far, and I'm absolutely loving it. It seems huge considering the price. I think originally it's supposed to be like $10.99 or something, which seems ludicrous given how much content there seems to be there. So I'll tell you what it is. It's 2D platformer. You know, I like those. And
left to right, jumpy jump.
It's structured a bit like Dark Souls. So imagine a 2D Dark Souls where everything's really grim and you're going through caves and stuff, and there's enemies that can take you out quite easily unless you know what their attack patterns are, and you kind of don't want to go too far in case you get hammered, so you dash back to a save point. It's one of those where it just feels a bit scary to really progress too far, and it's Metroidvania style thing as well, right? So there's bits that you can't quite get to yet until you've got the right move set, and it's the way it's structured is really, really clever. So it starts off with you not being able to go too far, and the basic move set seems really, really limited. You can kind of just the basics, walk around, jump, and you've got an attack. You just press one button and do a sort of slash attack thing, and that's kind of all you can do. And it feels overly simplistic to begin with. Really not like Dark Souls at all in that sense, where it's you know, the combat in Dark Souls feels quite weighty and measured, doesn't it? And everything's about planning and looking for your entry into the attack. And there is a bit of that here, but the options that you've got for combat to begin with aren't that great. So it takes a bit of time to start unlocking moves. Not like there's loads of moves, but there's core sort of extra bits that you can unlock in your characters, like dash moves or wall jumps, and all of this stuff really helps you in combat. But it's also the key to the more Metroidvania type stuff as well. So you know, in Metroidvania games where it might give you a particular power up that really is essentially a key, and all it does is let you into new areas, and it doesn't actually change the gameplay in any fundamental way. What Hollow Knight does, as a really good example of how Metroidvania games work, it actually builds those keys into the game design so that they're not just an arbitrary key to a new location. It is part of the repertoire and makes you play in different ways as well. So it's all about traversal, climbing up walls and doing dashes and stuff like that. It does get you into new areas, but it's fundamentally about how you play and a part of the combat too. It's really quite Spartan to begin with in other aspects too. So it doesn't give you a map. When you eventually get a map, it doesn't show you where you are on the map. All of this is stuff that you've got to unlock and earn. Everything is earned by the equivalent of souls, I guess. So every enemy that you kill, you'll get sort of a currency that drops from them. If you die, you drop all of your stuff and have to go back to your body to get it. Not just to pick it up from your body, but you actually have to fight a ghost of your former self to get it all back. So it is very Dark Souls in that sense, where you kind of have to earn your progress. You can't go forward too quickly. You've got to be careful about it. So everything feels like a reward. And there's loads and loads of secret areas in it too. It feels quite big so far. As I say, I've put a few hours in. I don't feel like I've seen half of it. And even areas near the beginning where you think, well, that's just like a sort of entry corridor and that's as much as you've got. If you go back there later on with a few more powers, then you realize that there's all sorts of stuff buried there that opens up into whole other chambers that you didn't even consider might be there. And it just feels really generous with how much content is there and what's in those hidden areas that people might not necessarily think are around. So yeah, for the price, it's great anyway, but for the price, it's just an unbelievable bargain, and I'm really enjoying it.
All I can think after listening to you talk about that is, fuck me, Richard needs to play Dead Cells.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
I do want to play. I do want to play Dead Cells.
Seriously, that I mean, it's a little bit less Dark Soulsy, I guess, in the way, you know, but there is that in there. There are the boss fights and stuff like that in there, and yeah, the cells are the soul, so it has a very similar equivalency in the currency and stuff like that. But mate, yeah, that's the only problem for me now is if I'd come to Hollow Knight play maybe prior to playing Dead Cells, it might have been something more appealing to me. But right now, all I want to do now after hearing you talk about that is play fucking Dead Cells. Like it is, I think it's probably the best example of the genre ever. Like honestly, like
I'm definitely going to get Dead Cells, but I'm going to do this first.
Okay, that's fair enough.
It's a different aesthetic though as well, so I think you'd get something distinct out of it. It's almost cutesy in a way. It's weird because it does feel oppressive, but all the characters feel quite appealing at the same time. So they're all based on like insects and bugs. So you're kind of traveling underground and you see all these scarab beetles and flies, mosquitoes and snails and all this, and they all look like kind of evil and moribund. But also there's like dotted around like vendors and characters you keep bumping into that you're glad to see at the same time.
Right.
Like in Dark Souls again, really. So, you know, it just feels so oppressive and dark that when you eventually see someone that you recognize, like, yay, something familiar. And
something not trying to kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Fucking just play Dead Cells. Play Dead Cells. Play Dead Cells. Okay. Right. You got one more game on here. Have you just finished it? Like, or what? What's the deal? Why is Oxenfree on your list?
Oxenfree? Yeah, because I bought it ages ago and never bothered playing it. I've just finished it past week.
So what did you think? Because I'm not the biggest fan of where that game ends up.
I think I was going into it expecting to be disappointed because you'd said that a while back, and I was thinking, well, yeah, probably not going to like it, but achievements. And yeah, I did end up quite enjoying it more than I thought I would, based on your opinion of it. But I don't know, what was your problem with the ending?
I really love the dialogue system, and I'm really looking forward to what those guys do. I think I told you guys about the next project they had on, which is the one where they're like have to do drinking games because they're two guys stuck in hell.
Yes.
New friends. That's the next thing they're doing, and they have to drink the devil under the table to escape. I love their dialogue system. Right,
It's good, isn't it?
The way dialogue works and how you can interrupt people and it reacts naturally to what you're doing is so fucking clever. However, just where that story goes in Oxenfree, without spoiling it, I just found it kind of rote and not particularly interesting where they ended up taking it. I would have rather it just like then maybe moved away from the supernatural elements a bit and just made it a bit more of a naturalistic story to match the really fantastic dialogue, you know? I don't know. I'm trying to think when it came out and if there was maybe an influence from Stranger Things then, but no, I think Stranger Things came after. I just feel like there is a slight. I'm not a massive fan of the tone where it ends up. I don't like the other elements, if you know what I mean, the supernatural elements. I found it all a bit stupid and silly and stuff, and I just wish it had stayed a bit more grounded. I like the environment, I like the island it's set on, and I love that dialogue so much and how the choices work into it. That's what I enjoyed. That's why I'm looking forward to what they do next.
I think they both worked in tandem, really. So all of the elements in there. So you've got the more naturalistic dialogue, the teens on the island being there when they shouldn't be. You know, that it's that kind of naughty kid vibe, and that works really well. But playing that off against the supernatural element, usually that sort of setup, you don't really have fleshed out characters, and all the characters in this I did kind of care about because the dialogue system and the voice acting, it does work really well. And like you say, that dialogue system sounds so natural. You can just interrupt whenever you like, or even not speak at all, and anything is valid, and it all seems to work as a natural sort of narrative, regardless of what you do. It's very clever.
Yeah.
So balancing that off against the supernatural stuff just seemed to give credibility to both elements. I really liked how they balanced it out. So they could have easily just broken both sides of it, but they balanced it really well. I thought it was good.
I keep meaning to go back and maybe play it again, seeing if maybe a second time through it's I get, you know, because I get different responses and stuff, and I could play it differently. And it's been long enough now that I've forgotten basically the route I took, as it were, with the other characters and things like that. It might be worth trying it again. But no, just the way those characters talk to each other is brilliant. Like it just feels so realistic. It's
kind of designed for multiple playthroughs as well. Have you tried starting the second playthrough at all?
Nope.
Yeah, it's weird. I started again just after. I haven't gone too much into it, but I started a second playthrough right after finishing it, and it does some interesting things.
Does it acknowledge that it is like something different about it? That there is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Don't tell me. I'm curious now. Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I think that basically brings us to our 2-hour slot there, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I mean, that was a good show, Richard. Thank you for joining me.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're always welcome, sir. Next time, there might be twice as many participants in this chaos that we call a podcast. Trying to think what's on the docket. I mean, we've got my Strange Brigade reviews coming in this 2 weeks. I'm trying to think releases as we're starting to approach the season of Pain. September. We're coming into September, aren't we? So things are starting to come out a bit more now. But I can't remember off the top of my head what it is. Well, like I was talking about, Destiny 2 Forsaken. And yes, there is definitely a game I will be talking about. Spider-Man on PS4. I also pre-ordered, and that will be out, I think, before the next time we record.
Yeah, tempting.
Yeah.
Unless I want to be saving for my car. I don't know. What do I do?
Racing Stripes or Spider-Man? Racing Stripes or Spider-Man? It's a tough one. I will just quickly say, head over to bxbgames.co.uk, which is the website where home to all of our content. We also have a YouTube channel at Bxb Games, which if you're watching this now live, as I know some of you have been and are right now, you obviously know where that is already. We have a Facebook page, which is Bxb Games. We have Twitter, which is Bxb Games. And use any of those methods to get in touch with me. I'm looking for some new people, some new voices to join us on the podcast, to write reviews, to do video reviews, to stream, you name it. I am looking for new people to bring a voice to this wonderful place we call Bxb Games. Yeah, some previous experience would be great. But get in touch with me. I'll then ask for some example or something that you've done to point me at, to give me an idea of what your style is and what your experience is. But really, you don't have to have any experience. All I want is someone with a passion for games like me and Richard, someone who loves playing and talking about video games. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Any age, any nationality, anything at all, from anywhere, anybody. Please, we need people, please. And free games, I mentioned that, and I did a video for YouTube in which I look like a serial killer, but like, don't be put off by that. But like, yeah, there are free games. There are free games. There will be free games. I'm not just using that to catfish you or to somehow groom you. I swear I can give you games. Okay? That's the deal. That's how it works, isn't it, Rich? Come on, Rich, back me up here. It's not just lies.
No, it's true. Yeah, what he's not telling you is
they're not always good.
They're not always good.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That is, I'm not pretending otherwise, but like, we always try and look on the positive side of things here, don't we? I mean, we try.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's harder than review from Richard coming soon.
I don't like to hammer a game, but sometimes
they deserve it.
What can you do?
Sometimes they deserve it, man. That's just the way it is. Even if everybody else says it's great, but hey, that's fine. So yeah, we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. As always, there are games. As always, there's stuff coming out on the site. Thank you for watching and listening this time. Like I said, find me on any and all of those social channels and drop me a line, and we'll have a chat. Like, Christopher just joined us, the Humble Gamer, and he's on board now. I'm looking at someone else's stuff at the moment. I will look at your stuff. So just be in touch. So I've been your host, Ben Hall. Richard has been my amazing compatriot today. Sat through all that news and talked some video games. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Nothing at all there. Big pause. That was weird.
Sorry.
And I'm going to say goodbye.
Goodbye.